guys and gals, what's going on? Welcome back. So this video, I asked you guys on my Instagram what kind of topics you'd like to see me discuss in my next YouTube video, and a bunch of you asked me to talk about relationships. So I'm assuming you're wanting to know about like romantic relationships and stuff. And I think I wanted to make this video kind of centered around maybe not growing up in the best circumstances and maybe kind of what that does to your relationships in adulthood and things like that, like especially romantic relationships and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna get into all of that. If you guys have any other questions or video topics you would like me to discuss, please feel free to let me know in the comments or on Instagram. It's really easy to get a hold of me on Instagram for the most part. So yeah. Okay, so relationships. When you grow up in kind of, I guess, like an unconventional sense, like, you know, without like a mom and a dad, and like things are kind of like normal, I would say, like, you know, let's say you grew up in like a dysfunctional family, or like you didn't really have a mom or a dad kind of figure, that kind of thing, like that can really mess you up a little bit when it comes to your relationships. And I feel like people kind of get a sense of that. I mean, if you're watching this video, then you're probably seeking out advice about what to do in regards to how to approach your relationships, how to function successfully in relationships or have successful relationships when maybe the models of relationships that you had growing up weren't the best. They weren't ideal. So it's like in your adulthood, how do you then establish successful relationships for yourself, basically, when you didn't get that as a child? So I think a lot of what we do when we're children that grow up in those kind of situations where we're not really validated by our parents, we then seek validation from the outside world. So this happens very frequently. Like, this is a very common thing that I see with people, and it's something that I myself have done. And it's only really been like recently, it's taken me a lot of years to really learn how to not seek validation from outside sources and get it from within. That's such a hard lesson to learn, but I think it's essential. Like, that establishing a strong relationship with yourself is the very first thing you need to do to have healthy relationships with other people. You can't have good relationships with others if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, if you don't love yourself and validate yourself. Because you can really have all kinds of validation from external places, people telling you you're pretty, people telling you you're smart, successful, blah, blah, blah. But none of that's going to mean anything if you don't think that about yourself. People can tell you things all day long, but you, at the end of the day, have to validate yourself. And so oftentimes when we grow up with parents who don't validate us, we have to then in our adulthood kind of reparent ourselves in a way. And that can be so difficult and frightening. I think it's really frightening when you're kind of like a young adult and you can see how you may be a little messed up. Like, you may kind of not be the greatest in relationships, or you may have this fault or that fault because of something that happened in your childhood. And I want to say, like, first and foremost, that whatever happened to you in your childhood, don't sit there and beat yourself up about it. That is the number one thing you shouldn't do, because first of all, you can't change it. Second of all, it wasn't your fault. You're a child. Thirdly, actually, I don't even know what thirdly was, but I'm just basically saying, like, beating yourself up does no good. It does no good. And when I was growing up, like when I was like in my early 20s, late teens, that kind of thing, like I wouldn't even realize it, but I would be sitting in my head just like beating myself up. And it actually didn't happen until like recently that I was able to legit like catch myself and be like, why the fuck am I being so mean to myself right now? Like, I was just in my head one night going on and on and on, like, you do this, you're doing that, this is messed up. I don't know. I was just like so negative in my head towards myself. And that's like the first no-no, I think, of like being able to have good relationships. Like I said, like, you need to have a good relationship with yourself. And so I think it kind of starts with catching what you're thinking and what you think of yourself and what you're telling yourself. Because I think it's very easy to be super hard and super critical of yourself, you know, like when you grow up without good parents and good like structure and things like that. So I think a lot of us have, when we've grown up in these situations, we end up experiencing a lot of unhealthy relationships because we don't have a good, strong foundation from ourselves. We don't accept the right kind of love. We kind of seek unhealthy relationships because, first of all, that's what we know. And second of all, it's almost like we don't know our worth and we don't know how to get what we truly deserve. Like, we don't know how to ask for what we truly deserve. We don't feel like we're worthy. And so we tend to get in unhealthy relationships. I've been there, and it's really, really hard. It's hard and it's scary. And I just want to say, like, to people out there, like, maybe if you're super young, I've been there, and like, you're just scared and you don't know what to do. And I think it's okay sometimes to sit there and just be like, I don't know really how to love. I don't know about how to really have a great, like, have good relationships with people, or really how to relate to people, or how to attach. Or maybe you are too attached to people. Like, you get attached super quick to people, and that's kind of a problem. So I do want to say, first of all, like, you recognizing the fact that you have a problem is really great. Like, that's great. That's the first step. Great job. So from there, just kind of like look at your life and analyze it. And what I would recommend is looking at the things that have happened to you and seeing like the pattern. Like, I guarantee the reason you're acting the way you're acting, or whatever problem there is in your life, you can look back into your childhood and you're going to see like where exactly that came from. It always comes from somewhere, usually a parent, family, siblings, things like that, like things that happen in your childhood, okay? And so what I think you should do when you recognize you have a problem is analyze it from like a non-judgmental standpoint. Don't sit there and be like, well, I'm disgusting because I was molested, or I don't know, like, feeling bad about yourself for things that happened in your childhood that you cannot control just doesn't work. It's not going to work for you. It's not the way to go. You need to sit back as like a third person, like an outsider almost, and look at your life and just be like, this is why I do what I do. And don't judge it. It's fine. Look at these problems and look at where these things come from a non-judgmental standpoint. Don't judge yourself because of it. Just look at it. Face it. It's super scary. I know it is. And it's like harsh and confusing, but that's why I'm telling you, don't judge yourself. Just look at it. Analyze it. Like, you're another person, not like you're you. You're an outsider and you're just analyzing the situation. And then from there, like, what would you want to tell that person? What would you want to tell them in order to overcome these hurdles? Because it's very possible. Like, once you identify that you have a problem and you're analyzing it, the next step is to overcome that, right? And you can 100% do this. And I think another way to have really great relationships, especially for you young people out there, I had a college professor tell me one time, and this always stuck in my head, was like, you should not go into a romantic relationship unless you can like go travel by yourself. Like, if you are not okay being by yourself and doing things by yourself, you should not be in a relationship, because you shouldn't enter into a relationship out of lack. You should enter into a relationship out of wanting to bring something forth with that other person. You both are bringing things to the table. It's not like, I need this person to fulfill me and complete me and all that kind of crap. Like, that's not a healthy relationship. You both are bringing things to the table and you're bringing each other up. I'm just saying, people always have this bad idea about being single, but being single is awesome. It's so peaceful. You get to do what you want. You get to know yourself, get in touch with yourself. You 110% need to do that and establish that relationship with yourself before you can have good relationships with anyone else. And I'm not just talking like romantic relationships. I'm talking about like every relationship. If you don't love yourself and you don't give that time to yourself, all of your relationships are going to suffer and they're going to lack from that, because you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're not giving yourself what you need, you can't give anybody else anything either. And sometimes I think it's okay to say, look, I don't know much about love, especially growing up. You know, if you grow up in a certain way and you're just like, look, I didn't know how relationships really work because I wasn't shown that. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay. Love, I think, is very actually simple. And I don't feel like love is something that, I don't know, I feel like people force love a lot and people try to make it so complicated. And like, you can only love certain people and only if they do certain things and blah, blah, blah. But I just don't believe that. I feel like love is very simple. And when I think about it, I think about God, and I just feel like God, I'm trying very much to understand love, the notion of love and where it comes from, where it originates. And I believe that comes from the creator, God, universe, like that kind of energy, that higher than the self energy, higher than all of us, but connects all of us kind of energy. That love, I look at other people, anyone I encounter, and I'm like, this entity, this God loves everybody, and wants me to love. Like, I want to radiate love from myself, and I want to be a reflection of that love to everyone I encounter. And it's very, very simple. It is not complicated. Love should not be complicated. Love should not be confusing. Love is very simple. It's to the point. You love someone because you love them. And firstly, because you love yourself. And I've been so many times like where I was like, I feel like I'm lacking so much understanding of love because of the way I grew up. And I felt bad about myself. I was just kind of like, you know, I'm messed up. Like, I'm messed up. How do I fix this? Because I just don't have this understanding. But you learn. Be patient with yourself. Ask these questions of God, and just be like, show me the way to love. And it happens every day, all day. I'm telling you, it's just like a different way of thinking. Love is not just about having a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a wife or a husband, or like loving your mom and dad, like these specific people. I think you should love everybody. True love, to know true love is to love people who are unlovable. That is true love. That is the true notion of love. You love the unlovable. Love is not just loving like the easiest person out there, loving the person who does everything for you, or loving all the people who love you, or loving only the people who love you. You know, you should love everybody. You should be radiating love because you love yourself, and you will automatically do it. If you love yourself, it will be very easy. It will be very easy. And loving yourself is not easy. That's the one thing that is not easy, especially when you didn't have parents who were really loving towards you as a child and established that with you. Even especially if you grew up with parents who like rejected you and stuff like that. Like, loving yourself is so frightening and so hard, and it takes work every single day, but it's a commitment to yourself, and it's the most powerful commitment you can make, and it's going to infiltrate in every single aspect of your life. Like, think about it. People who have hatred in their heart reflect that on other people. They hate other people. It's a reflection. If you love yourself, you're going to radiate that, and you're going to reflect that. Like, people who love themselves aren't out here being malicious to other people. Like, they're above all that. Like, they don't have time to be like scheming and like in drama, and you know what I mean? Like, you've got better things to do when you've established that love relationship with yourself. You're like, it's this quiet peace that you walk around with, and it infiltrates in any interaction you have. It's every interaction you have. It's the cashier at the gas station. It's just like anybody you interact with. So yeah, basically the gist of it is like, don't beat yourself up. Please don't beat yourself up. Been there, done that so many times, and it's literally the most useless thing you can do. And you can train your brain to catch yourself. Like, literally try to catch yourself when you're thinking these things. When you're sitting there and you're like, wow, I feel like shit. What are you thinking about? You're probably thinking shitty things. So don't think them. Think about, I mean, it sounds silly, but you can do this. Just think about anything other than shitty things. Think about butterflies. Think about Christmas. I don't know. Think about anything. You need to be your own best advocate. Okay? That's number one. Rule number one. You be your own best friend. It sounds stupid. I know it sounds corny, but you have to. Don't be the reason you feel like shit. Number one. Don't let yourself be, because yeah, lots of things happen on a day-to-day basis, but you can choose how you feel and how you react to these things. If something crappy happens, yeah, it's cool to feel like crappy in the moment, but don't let it bring you down. It's not necessary. Just move on to something else. Crappy things happen all the time. They're gonna happen, but good always prevails over bad, and you have to believe that, and you have to keep that in your mind. And if you really feel like shit, if none of this is like helpful to you, another really great thing to help yourself love yourself and just get out of that like negative headspace is go help someone. Go out there and help someone who is less fortunate than you, and that really takes care of so much like ego. Like, when you're just sitting there like constantly thinking about yourself and thinking about your problems and blah blah blah, your world becomes so small, and you kind of isolate yourself within your own problems and with your own head. And there's so much going on out here in this world. Everybody's dealing with crap. And when you go out and help somebody and you make yourself useful and you make your life useful to someone else, it is the most powerful feeling of life. Like it's pure love. Doing something selflessly and just helping someone in any kind of way, even if it's something stupid, like you hold the door open for someone or you give someone a compliment, like do things out of love. Try to do little things like that, and that will really, really bring you up. Like, honestly, love people you would never expect. Like, look at someone who's being like super rude or annoying or whatever, and just look at them and be like, how could I love this person? Like seriously, like, how do you rise above all this negativity and all that and just see through pure love? Pure love is it's just on a different level. It's a different level. It's a different understanding. It's not the superficial surface crap, you know. It's a whole new level of thinking. Okay, I feel like you just sometimes have to admit that you don't know certain things. You surrender to that. It's okay not to know and not to have all the answers, and just kind of commit to this journey of loving yourself and finding love. And I used to think like that. I used to think like love was this thing like only involving like a married couple, like, you know, like romantic love was just the one kind of love that I was seeking in life, and I never found it. And so I was like, my life is lacking so much, until I realized that you can love everybody. You can just love your life, and it doesn't have to be this singular moment with one person kind of love. You should love everybody. Like, I think we all need to practice a little bit better love skills and being kind to each other and things like that. Like, love should be experienced like all the time. Why are we not experiencing it? And also, you might want to think about like cutting out toxic people. If you have toxic people in your life, and you can get an intuition about this pretty quick. Like, if you have a look at your relationships, are these people dragging you down? Are they like taking you down? People who are bringing you down instead of bringing you up, you probably really need to consider cutting them out. And that's a video I could talk about as well, because I've had to exit out of a lot of relationships, romantic, family, friends, because they were toxic. And it's just, that's a whole nother level. I just wanted to mention that because that's also something that you might really have to do, like clean up your love circle, you know, like only have people in your circle that bring you up. It may be very, very few. It may be like one person. Maybe you don't have anybody. You have to start fresh, but it is better than having someone there bringing you down and draining you, because again, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You got to take care of you. You got to look out for you. Take care of your own first and foremost, because you cannot help anybody else till you help yourself. Okay? Number one rule, take care of yourself. Love yourself. All right, you guys, so I think that's it for this video. Again, if you have any more questions or videos that you'd like me to discuss, I'd love to hear them and make some more videos, hanging out with you guys, chatting. It's been real. Have a great day. I hope this built you up. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.